I want us to look for a moment in the book of Galatians, chapter 3. Look in verse 10. For as many as are of the works of the law are under a curse. For it is written, Cursed is everyone who does not abide by all the things written in the book of the law to perform them. Every son of Adam, every daughter of Adam, under a curse. Now, does that make you afraid? Does it make you afraid? It should. There's hardly a way in which I can present to you as a preacher what it means to be under this awful curse of the law. But to give you something of a portrait of it, imagine this, that if you are here tonight and you are not reconciled to God through Christ and you die in your sins, on Judgment Day when your sentence is declared by a holy God, and you take your first step into hell, the last thing you will hear is all of God's holy heaven standing to its feet and applauding and worshiping God because He has rid the earth of you. To be under a curse is to be recognized as so vile and so loathsome before God. And before all of God's holy heaven, you need to understand that as a sinner, naked before God without the covering of Christ, you are under a curse. And the greatest question in all the cosmos is, how can anyone under a curse be saved from that curse? Who can intercede? Who can pay the price? Well, we see here in verse 13, Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law. And how did He do it? Having become a curse for us. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21, He made Him who knew no sin to be sin on our behalf, so that we might become the righteousness of God in Him. Now it says here, He made Him who knew no sin to be sin on our behalf. It says that God made Him to be sin. Now what does that mean? Does that mean that on the cross, Christ somehow became sinful, polluted, twisted, and perverted? Absolutely not. Even when He was on the cross, He was the spotless Lamb. Even when He bore our sin, He was the spotless Lamb. Then what does it mean? The answer is found in our text. He made Him who knew no sin to be sin on our behalf, that we might become the righteousness of God in Him. Now, the moment a person believes in Jesus with saving faith, what happens? At that moment, do they become by nature a righteous being with no pollution and absolutely sinless? Is that what happens the moment you believe? No, it's not. What happens? Well, a legal or forensic thing happens. The moment that you believe in Jesus, you are legally declared right with God. Do you understand that? It is a legal or forensic term. The righteousness has been imputed to you. You are legally declared right with God. Now, what does it mean that God made Him who knew no sin to be sin on our behalf? That on that tree, God legally declared Him to be guilty, and He treated Him as guilty. Now think about this. He treated Him as guilty. now bearing all the sin, all the guilt of God's people, he treats him as guilty.